Welcome to the world's #1 fitness business podcast for health club owners, gym managers, and fitness entrepreneurs. As always, this will be a great show as we have another expert to help your fitness business and your career. We'd like to thank our premier sponsor, Active Management, for supporting us, and we highly recommend becoming a member of Active Management to strengthen your business in 2016. There are loads of resources members receive, so join the Active Tribe today at www.activemgmt.com.au. Now that's enough from me. Let's welcome the show's amazing host, Chantal. What's on this week's show?
Hi Harper, and welcome back everyone, and thank you for joining me for another week of the Fitness Business Podcast. It is week 2 with the amazing Jeb Blunt, sales acceleration specialist and best-selling author of 7 books, including Fanatical Prospecting, People Follow You, and People Buy You. If you missed last week's show, hit pause right now. Go back and listen to show 51. Then come straight back here because we're about to hit the play button on part 2, which I'll tell you about in just a minute. But first, this week's sponsor shout out goes to Active Management. Now, just for being a part of the FBP tribe, you can get a free ebook download valued at $100. So head over to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/active.
This month, we have an awesome prize for people who subscribe to the show notes at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com or engage with the Fitness Business Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or even emailing us. Do it and you may be this month's winner. Now it's time for this week's guest.
Indeed it is, Harper. Jeb Blunt is the best-selling author of 7 books, including Fanatical Prospecting, People Follow You, and People Buy You. He's a sales acceleration specialist who helps organizations reach peak performance fast. Through his companies, Sales Gravy, Channel EQ, and Innovate Knowledge, he advises many of the world's leading organizations and their executives on the impact of emotional intelligence and interpersonal skills on sales, leadership, customer experience, channel development, and strategic account management. Let's pick up the interview when we're chatting about connecting with people. Jeb, it's not always easy to get below the surface. You know, quite often people, especially in the fitness industry, they're not willing to just give up that information. Are there any other techniques that you might be able to share with us to really help to discover or identify an underlying problem that a prospect may have?
Oh, great question. So here's the problem that we face as salespeople. It starts with rapport, right? So rapport is a step on the sales process. Then we go to the next step and the next step and the next step. And the thing about human beings is that we don't usually open up about our, deepest, darkest problems. I mean, the person, let's just say that a mom walks into the gym and she's meeting with a personal trainer. She's probably not going to tell you right off the bat that the reason she's there is that her 4-year-old daughter, when she was going to daycare that morning, said, Mommy, why are you fatter than the other mommies? I mean, people don't typically share things that cut them and hurt them that deeply to strangers. And so what we have to understand is the way people operate. And this is why connecting is so much more powerful than trying to build rapport. So let me real quickly, I'll explain how the brain operates. When people talk about themselves, and you can actually see this on 3D MRIs. When people are given the opportunity to talk about themselves, what immediately happens is blood begins to rush to the pleasure centers of the brain, the emotional areas of the brain. And as they continue to talk about themselves, there's this opportunity to what we call self-reveal. So they'll tell you something. And if you don't interject, if you don't get in the way of that, if you just keep listening, then you ask good follow-up questions and you allow them to talk and you give them your complete attention, they'll continue to self-reveal because each time they self-reveal and give you more information, the pleasure centers of their brain begin to light up like a Christmas tree. Mm-hmm. And so as this goes on, people give you more and more information, which allows you to get past the surface place that we typically operate in as human beings. We don't just tell strangers all of our deepest, darkest secrets, but everybody who is listening here to this podcast has been in a situation where they've been at a party or at a bar or at a family reunion or with a group of friends or some place where they've been talking to someone and they were just listening. And the person would like give them some information. They were just in the mood to listen. And then they would listen a little bit more. And the person would give them more information and more information and more information. And pretty soon there's this place where you cross the TMI, or the too much information zone, where the person starts pouring out these secrets and you just think to yourself, I cannot believe they just told me that. And the thing is that they don't even realize what's happening. I mean, they are literally getting, a dopamine, or they're getting, a chemical reward in their brain for telling you these things. And so salespeople can tap into this, especially in your industry, because it is so emotional, because people are walking in because there's a trigger event in their life that is totally emotional, that's disrupted their status quo. They need to get it sated, right? They need somebody to help them. And so if you just give them some time, and this is why, like if I'm teaching, if you brought me down to Australia and I was working with a group of gym owners, I would walk through and say, I want to know every station you take your people in your gym when you're taking them on that path, on that journey, and the questions that you're asking and how you are using those questions to slowly but surely move people to the place where they start to feel comfortable to tell you the real reasons why they're there. What are their real goals? Because I know that when I can connect with those goals and in a purely emotional sale, that I can win almost every time. And the only times I don't win is when a person is there and they just do not have the means to afford it.
Jeb, it's funny you mentioned that kind of, I relate that dopamine hit that you talk about, that kind of feeling of getting excited because there's something happening that you're revealing about yourself. And back a few shows ago, we had JT from Active Management on the show, and he was talking about the same thing in relation to when you get, say, like a like on a Instagram pic or on social media, Facebook or something like that, and it's that instant little hit of dopamine and how good it makes you feel. It's that same kind of, I guess, chemical reaction that you're talking about.
It is. And the thing is that it's so easy, the social media places are great because, like on your app, you get a little number that comes up, and now we're just like lab rats. We go back to it over and over again. And he's exactly right. The thing about the human side of things, and this is a hard thing to explain on a podcast, is this. To go back to one principle, and that is that the need to feel important or significant is the most insatiable human need. And in fact, if you go to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's sort of in the middle, this need for significance, but it is the only need in that entire hierarchy that you cannot sate. I cannot make you feel too important, too loved, too accepted. It's just not possible. But the problem is that the salespeople that are working there have that same need. I need to feel important too. Mm-hmm. And so for salespeople, when their prospect is talking, telling them the story about where they're there, the salesperson doesn't feel important. They want to talk too, because when they're talking and telling their story, they feel important. And what begins to happen is the salesperson begins to cut their prospect off. They begin to interrogate. They begin to get their prospect to give them bullet points versus a story. But that's not how people communicate. We communicate in stories because we want to be understood. And so the prospect begins to pull away because they're thinking, wow, this person doesn't listen to me, and they don't understand me. They don't get me. And the salesperson's clueless because when the salesperson's talking, when they're pitching, they feel great. They feel like they're on stage. And this is one of the reasons, like when I have a salesperson and they will say with one of my clients, I had a client that wanted us to come in, do training or what have you. And I ask them how the meeting went, and they say, we had a great conversation. I know what happened. I know that salesperson spent the entire time talking.
So from a sales perspective, we really need to go back to your earlier advice of shut up and listen, right? Now, let's talk a little bit more about sales. Can anyone sell?
Well, I think we all sell. I mean, I think everybody's selling every day. Here's what all selling is, right? All we're doing essentially is we're influencing another person to make a choice, to make a decision. Hopefully we're influencing them to make a decision on something we want them to do. And, this issue of personal trainers who, think selling is a bad thing, we have the same issue with doctors feel that way, and lawyers feel that way, and architects feel that way, and a lot of professionals feel that way. They say, if you say sell, don't sell. So one of the things that when I'm working with professionals, like personal trainers, and I talk about people by you, I tell them that, I probably should have changed the book to How to Sell Without Selling. Because the problem is that what they see in their head is a pushy salesperson who is pitching, and they're projecting that on their client. And what we just described, just in the conversation we just had, was not selling. It was a conversation. And it was a conversation whereby I'm spending my time learning about another person. And all I'm doing, when I say bridging, all the bridge does is connect two things. All I'm doing is, after I listen to them and I understand what's important to them, I simply say something like this. I may say, Chantal, you told me about how important it is that you are able to, take 20 pounds off in the next 3 months because your daughter's getting married and you want to look your best. And I can see you there right now, with your daughter, and you've got that dress on, and, your whole family's there, and all the pictures you look just gorgeous and beautiful. And I want to help you. And I've got this training regimen that I've used with other people in the exact same situation that has worked, and it will help you lose the weight, and it'll help you get in shape, and it'll help you have, the experience that you're looking for at your daughter's wedding. And at the same time, we're going to have a great time doing it. Let's go ahead and get you started. I mean, I didn't say buy my training stuff. I didn't say you need to buy here. I simply used your language to connect the dots between where you want to be, which is looking gorgeous in that dress at your daughter's wedding, and how I'm going to get you there. That was it. And if you're a personal trainer and you're afraid of sales, let me say this a different way. You run a business. And the number one reason why businesses go out of business is because they don't have enough customers. That's the number one reason. And it's not just in Australia, it's in the United States, it's in Europe, it's everywhere. So the main goal every day as a business person, I know that you do personal training because you're really passionate about helping people be healthy, and you're passionate about, the way that you get people that way. And this gets you up every single day. And I'm passionate about training people, and I'm passionate about speaking, and I love what I do, and I get that and I understand it. But every day, my imperative is to get and keep customers, period, end of story. Because the only way that I'm able to do the things that I do, which is, I guess you could call me a personal trainer for salespeople, but the only way I can do that is if I have customers to do it with. So I wake up every day understanding what my core mission is, and that is to grow my business and build my business. And the way that I do that is I connect with people, I learn about them, I understand what's important to them, and I show them how I can help them. And I feel very comfortable and very good about doing that.
I think that is just so key for us to keep in mind, because I think you're right. As personal trainers, we do get caught up in the excitement of the physical aspect of the job and that side of things. But if we keep that in mind, that, we need to get and keep customers, it kind of reinforces the importance of that connection, that relationship building that you've talked on and given us such great advice on already today. Jeb, I want to finish off with one last thing. I'm hoping that you can help us out with this one, because as you know, in the fitness industry, we're selling an intangible good, effectively. We're selling either a gym membership or personal training sessions or group training or some other service along those lines. Can you perhaps today leave us with your best Fitbispiration and give us your top 3 tips for selling services?
Well, I think that what I would say to a personal trainer or anyone else is, I don't think you're selling gym memberships. You're selling dreams. I mean, you're selling the future. It isn't intangible, but you're selling an emotion. That's why people do that. Working out. I just got out of the gym. Working out's awful. If I could wake up every day and not have to do that, I just got off a bike, and I'm just thinking, when can this be over? So there are a million things I'd rather do than that. So it's the dream. And my tip to you, my inspiration to you is find out for every customer, every person that you work with, what is their vision for themselves? What do they want? Some people, they want a gorgeous body. Some people, they're worried about, not being able to stay alive. Some people are worried about, like I'll give you my core worry. My biggest fear with fitness is I don't want to be old and not be able to enjoy my life. I mean, that's a really important thing to me. And one of my greatest inspirations, Gary Player is way older than me. I mean, he's twice my age. But I look at this 80-year-old man who operates like a 20-year-old person. That's what my vision is. If you knew that, if you were a personal trainer or you were a fitness center owner and you understood what I believed about my life and what was important to me, and all you talked about was that, you would own me. I would do anything. If you were a personal trainer and you focused all your time on motion and wellness and making sure that, that in my mind, you kept telling me, hey, this is going to make you look great when you're 80. It's a crazy thing, but that's what's important to me.
Yeah.
So the thing is these are my tips. And I know you asked me for 3, but my biggest tip is I guess number 1 would be shut up. Number 2 would be listen. And for the personal trainers, number 3 is ask for what you want. You're never going to get more customers if you've done all the right things without asking. And then my piece of inspiration for you is this. As you look at your business, whether you're a personal trainer or a gym owner, you have to set goals for yourself. You spend a lot of time working with other people, and you give a ton of yourself to other people. And in fact, every time you're working with a client, believe it or not, it takes a little piece out of you. And so nobody's going to put that back. They've got a personal trainer to inspire them. You've got to take time to do that for yourself. So you have to set goals for yourself. You have to take time to listen to great podcasts like this to re-inspire yourself. You should be reading on a regular basis. You should be taking time, both, mind, and I know you focus on your body because you're in the industry, but also your spirit. You've got to take time to build that, because at the end of the day, there's going to be adversity. There's going to be roadblocks. There's going to be days like me when your website goes down for 2 weeks and you don't know if you're going to survive. There's going to be ups. There's going to be downs. And, there's one question that you have to ask when you're in those dips. And that question is, how bad do you want it? And if you don't have the strength of spirit, the strength of mind, and the strength of body when you're in those dips, it's very, 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 very difficult to pull yourself up, to look up, to keep going, to climb that mountain again, and then reach for the next peak. So I think you have to look at the world, from both, how am I interacting with other people? And then how am I building my own soul, my own heart, my own brand, so that I do a better job at connecting with people and helping them and bringing them along, and so that I can exercise the things that I'm passionate about.
Jeb, I just want to say thank you. And I want to say to all of our tribe out there, if you guys are right now sitting there feeling as excited and as inspired as I am right now from listening to Jeb just chat to us over the last 40 minutes, then I want you to jump on. I want you to check out his podcast. You need to go and get this book, People by You. Please go out and get it. We're going to be putting all of the links to Jeb's resources on this week's show notes. Jeb, thank you.
Thank you.
The Fitness Business Podcast is very appreciative of our podcast partners. Here's a quick word from one of our partners.
Rex Roundtables is a powerful forum in Europe, the US, and Australia for club owners and personal training business owners. In Australia, Justin Tamsett from Active Management runs the Rex Roundtables under the brand Industry Leaders Roundtable. In the show notes for today's episode, you'll find a YouTube link for you to watch and hear more about the roundtables. This 90-second video is a great explanation, so don't forget to check it out in today's show notes.
It's time for the Fitness Business Podcast wrap.
Okay, tribe, here are my top takeaways from this week's show. Jeb said if you listen and give someone your complete attention, they're more likely to share information with you. He said the need to feel important or significant is the most insatiable human need. You can't make someone feel too important, too needed, or too wanted. He said, use your prospects' language to connect the dots to bridge from where they want to be to how you can get them there. And he also said the number one reason people go out of business is because they run out of customers. So your main goal should always be to get and keep customers. It is always a pleasure to chat to regular listeners of the show. And I recently caught up with one of our listeners from the land of the long white cloud, New Zealand. Hilary Blackstock is the director and trainer at PlayFit, a New Zealand-based fitness business aimed at making movement fun. She's a qualified personal trainer, a group exercise instructor, and a member of the New Zealand Personal Trainers Council. Plus, this is really exciting, Hilary has just written her first book. It's a wellness journal titled Project You. First of all, welcome to the show, Hilary.
Hi.
Very, very excited to have you on today. Tell us a little bit about Project You.
Project You started a long time ago as a email challenge to clients, and it was really successful, and it was kind of just taking things right back to basics. And so I turned it into a day-by-day or week-by-week journal with lots of writing space, so hoping that people will really interact and make the most of it.
That's fantastic. And now you are selling that to your clients, is that correct?
Yes, yep, it's available for anyone to purchase.
That's really exciting, and we'll put the details of Project You up on this week's show notes because I was checking it out on your Facebook page earlier. So congratulations on that. That's really exciting.
Thank you.
We've got you on the show today because you're a bit of a fan of podcasts, and I'm glad to hear the Fitness Business podcast in particular. Tell us, what is it about podcasts that you enjoy?
I live in an area where we don't get a lot of speakers come, and I really just like the boost of motivation, the insights, the learning that's, at my fingertips, basically. So I can just kind of press start on the ones I like and learn and enjoy them.
That's great. And tell me about our podcast in particular. What is it that you enjoy?
It's nice and short, so I don't have to press hold too many times, and I just really love the variety of speakers and questions that you have each week.
That's great to hear. So speaking of which, tell us, what are maybe some ideas or insights that you have taken away from the show so far?
I take something away from every show. My favourites, so probably the ones I go back to the most, Sean Bester.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just liked, I guess it's quite relevant for me trying to set up a website and, writing a book and things. I don't have a website. So even the glossary at the start of his very first one was priceless.
That was good, wasn't it? And just in case, Tribe, you haven't checked out that show, we're talking about shows 35 and 36, and Sean spoke all about, it was quite technical. That's why we put it across two shows. There was lots of information around lead pages and, as you said, setting up lead generation for your website.
Yeah, I listen to it and I stop and I start and I take notes, and I'm probably on my second or third listening. Yeah?
That's great.
I also really enjoyed Paul Bedford's.
Paul Bedford, yeah, way back in show 3.
Yeah, not completely relevant to me, I suppose, now, and that I'm not in a gym environment so much, but just, coming from those days, completely blown away by the benefits of talking to our clients, how the difference one conversation will make to them coming back, and the massive difference as well between over and under 35s.
Yeah, wasn't that interesting, his research on that demographic?
Yeah, it was different to what I expected, and for different reasons as well to what I'd expected, so that was really cool. And the other one I really liked was Ann Coppins.
A recent one. So Anne was with us on show 45.
Yeah, I mean, most of my sessions are play-based. So,
perfect.
And I've never kind of thought of taking the play into the business and the challenge side of things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so lots of ideas that I took away from that to put into action as well.
I can see why that would be so relevant for you because, her expertise is gamification, and that particular show, she talked all around how we can implement gamification type strategies into our fitness businesses. So I can see certainly for a business like yours how relevant that would be. So I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed those shows. And tell us this, Hilary, if you could choose, who would you like us to interview in the future, and what would be a question that you'd like us to ask?
Oh, I would really love you guys to speak to Bronnie Mack from Catch Fitness in New Zealand.
Tell us about Bonnie.
She runs a really amazing national competition called the 20-Week Challenge here for registered trainers. But she's a really great mentor for trainers and has just an amazing knowledge of tools and tips and resources to share.
Okay, great. So we'll check her out. So it's Bonnie Mack from Catch Fitness in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for that suggestion. Hilary, I want to say thank you so much for being a regular listener of the show, and thank you for joining us today on the Fitness Business Podcast.
Thank you.
Win the monster edition of Powerful Insights from industry experts, and it's valued at $180 from Active Management. This ebook has 12 interviews with absolute industry guns. And to win, all you need to do is subscribe to the show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com or engage with us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Thanks for joining me for another week of the Fitness Business Podcast. And remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.
Great show this week that you should be suffering DOMs, delayed onset mind soreness, as you are overloaded and that's when your mind is strengthened. You and your business have been strengthened thanks to the amazing support of our premier sponsor, Active Management. Check out www.activemgmt.com.au only if you want to strengthen your business and your leadership. Don't forget all today's links and notes are found at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, where you can also subscribe and never miss a show and maybe win a prize. Next week is another incredible guest with Chantal, so get ready for more Fit Bizpiration.